spotlighting the very best in Geneva College Golden Tornado Athletics. This is Tornado Tuesday. And now, here are your hosts, Van Zanik and Andrew Fee.
All right, welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays, back by popular demand. The fans were upset that we took a week off last week.
Absolutely, by popular demand. I mean, we can't take a week off. I mean, our emails and our phones were flooded with people just upset that they didn't have this last Tuesday.
And Chris Matthews, I mean, he was on the last show, but he just said he wanted to do it again the following week. He thought he was going to be a guest every week as well. But today we have Coach Wendy Smith and a student athlete from the women's volleyball team. Coach Smith just recently, last season, got her 400th win. Just incredible record, because before she took over the program didn't even have 400 wins combined.
Yeah, she's really done an amazing work, and obviously she's been here for quite a while, like most of our coaches have been, but she really, you talk about a demanding coach, to be sure, competitive as all coaches are, but she is ultra competitive. She treats her student athletes with love and care. I mean, there's no doubt that you see that, you hear that, but really she gets it done on the court, and she does a great job recruiting student athletes that are really great fits for Geneva College, and the results follow. So success for sure for that program. So yeah, it'll be nice to catch up with her today.
She's hardworking too. That's what I love about her. Last night when I was eating dinner, around 7 o'clock, she called me with a recruiting question, and then she said, "I can hear you chomping in the background," and I said, "It's because I'm eating dinner, Coach Smith," and she kept going. So she's always working around the clock recruiting.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So, but let's talk a little bit about our golf outing that happened last week. Great success. I mean, we couldn't have ordered a more beautiful day on the course. With 36 foursomes, just really exciting time.
Yeah, it's just always great to be able to catch up with alumni and folks that have always supported the program, but you only get to see them maybe once a year at the golf outing. And so, like you said, it was just a wonderful, perfect day for golf, even though the play was a little slower than we would have liked because of the number of people. At the same time, folks were amenable to the COVID rules. They did what they needed to do, much like our student athletes have done all semester. But again, just a great time for our alumni, a great fundraiser for the athletic department. Connequanescent, as always, shined. Just an amazing. The course is in incredible condition. So those folks treated us well, as they always do. So yeah, just a wonderful day, and we're looking forward to another one in May.
Yeah, and Coach Thompson, our track coach, his father-in-law got a hole-in-one and won a trip to Indiana. So.
Yeah, it was nice. So I was sitting at the clubhouse, and Coach Thompson, of course, the track and field and cross-country coach, has a running background. Well, I saw Coach Thompson running across the bridge with the big cardboard thing that said, the hole-in-one thing. He goes, "I wanted to bring this to make sure that everyone knew what was happening." And so I said, "Did you confirm it, Phil?" Yeah, we confirmed it. So yeah, that's really exciting to see the hole-in-one. That doesn't obviously happen very often, but it was nice to see someone do that.
Yeah, the first one I've ever seen with a prize hole. But in addition to that, just an update, the PAC released the basketball schedules recently. I don't know exactly when it was. You can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of work with trying to put different scenarios, as you can imagine, together for basketball, and the presidents voted and approved last week, and it was just released this week. So, and really what it comes down to, it's going to be a 13-game conference schedule. So it'll be geographical scheduling by division. So you have a North and a South division. Each team will play the teams within their division twice, and then you'll play a crossover game once. And so that'll be the 13 games. The conference tournament's going to look pretty similar to what it always is, for sure. But the interesting thing with this schedule, it's going to be played at alternating sites. So men and women will play on the same night, but if we're on the road at some place, then that team will be at Geneva. So we're going to have a lot of basketball games at Matheny Fieldhouse starting.
We'll be announcing a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, and I believe the first date of competition is January 16th. So somewhere around the mid-January time, which is it's obviously a different world. I mean, usually we'd be getting almost ready to have our basketball tournament in a couple weeks, start of November, but the teams just started practicing last week, and they'll be starting to get back here after Christmas and prepare for what's going to be a really tight scheduled conference season once they get playing in January.
Well, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for our interview with Coach Smith. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays, and we're honored to have our head women's volleyball coach with us today, Wendy Smith. Wendy what do you say? How do you start? I mean, you've been to Geneva for a lot of years, and you are passionate about what you do. You have been successful at what you do. So quite simply, let's just start with, why do you love Geneva? I mean, why so many years have you been here? What gets you up in the morning and really charges you to really deal with the student athletes that you work with?
Well, volleyball has been a part of my life since I was in middle school.
Lift up your microphone a little bit closer to. There you go.
So I've been involved in volleyball since middle school, and that's when I fell in love with the sport and was lucky enough to play my college days at Duke. And in that whole time, my faith was important. But my faith world and my volleyball world really could never come together. So when the opportunity came to be here at Geneva, I thought, I'm doing this 1 year. I'm bringing those two worlds together. That would be really cathartic. And that was about 21 years ago. So I love that I get to be hands-on in the sport. And of course, when you enter coaching for wins and losses. But very quickly you realize it's a lot more than wins and losses. It's about mentoring young ladies at a really pivotal time in their lives, and hopefully being a great mentor to them, hopefully giving them some of your life experience and wisdom, and helping them along the bumps and preparing them for the future.
Well, I love your competitiveness. You're programmed very much like myself. We go back and forth often in terms of our competitive natures and such. But I'm interested. You've had such great success in recruitment, and not just talented athletes, but student athletes that are really great fits for Geneva. So, just take us into your mind a little bit in terms of the recruiting process and some of the characteristics that you're specifically looking for when you're looking to bring someone to Geneva.
Early on in my coaching here, I discovered that talent without high character wasn't worth much. And I decided right then and there that I needed to focus more on character and less on talent. Not that I'm not looking for talented athletes, I am. So to me, I'm looking for high character. I'm looking for hard workers, great teammates, competitive athletes that want that moment, and great students, because I don't really want to have to chase them down to get them to class. And that has been a winning combination of attributes.
So things have obviously been challenging of late, different schedules, different scenarios, different things like that. So you folks were obviously caught up in that this fall with the season being pushed to the springtime. So talk through a little bit about that disappointment, and obviously you're back practicing and those things, which are great to be able to get the kids back on the court. But what's it been like for you going through a fall not competing?
So it occurred to me recently that all the excuses that I used for not doing fall things, like fall planting and fall cleanup, and I always use volleyball as the excuse.
Can't do it this year.
Can't do it this year.
Got to do the to-do list.
So I did put one thing in the ground, so I think I can sort of check off fall planting. But it is, when you're around a sport, as long as you've been around the sport and I've been around the sport, your life rhythms are all about that sport. So to go through a fall and not be competing is really challenging. But we are in extraordinary times, and I remind the team of that all the time. We will be talking about these days and these months and this year for the rest of our lives, really. So it is a great reminder to athletes and coaches alike that we have to be light on our feet. We have to be ready to pivot and pivot again and pivot again. And some of the things that we're learning in this season will play out on the court. We have so much joy right now in the gym. And I think that's just because we are so happy to be back together and so happy to be competing and do the sport that we wanted. When I talked to the athletes when they first got on campus, they said they were having a hard time finding joy because it was hard for them to even hope for things. Because as fast as they hoped for something, it was taken away. And of course, that's what happened all spring. So I think just to be in the gym and competing and with each other and being together, if they had lost any sense of the joy of the game, they have found it.
Yeah, and I think for those of us that are in athletics, we understand there's so much more than just the practice piece of things and how important it is to have the kids get together as a group and connect to something. And that's why the first, you're used to coming in August, early before school even starts, and making those connections, even the first-year players coming in and connecting with their teammates, and that didn't happen. So finally being able to be together as a team and be together, I think that's where a lot of that joy comes from. We're experiencing similar things on the softball field as well. So let's look at the spring. I mean, obviously the schedule was released now, and you're looking at obviously a minimized schedule for the spring. And I know not exactly what you were hoping for in terms of the number of competitions and things like that. But so how do you talk to your team about preparation? I mean, there's a lot of practices going on, getting ready for what will be a condensed schedule, but at the same time, it's a season with a championship on the line. And how do you prepare your team for that?
Well, I don't need to prepare them too much. They're hungry. Losing in the championship game last year has made them really motivated. But I think we have an interesting goal ahead of us. I think it's realistic that we go undefeated.
Wow.
And so that's fueling me. I mean, most of the time when you're putting together a 30-team 30-match season.
Other schools in the conference can watch this. This is going to be live.
It won't surprise them.
Okay.
I'm competitive.
That's right.
So I think it's a great challenge for us to say we have the ability to go undefeated. Can we do it?
Well, I was going to ask you what your goals for the year were, but I mean, clearly that's pretty well defined in terms of, and it's a high standard. But if you feel like you have the team that can handle those expectations, and I know you have a lot of upper class leaders and those types of things, which, I know you put a lot of onus on leadership and those types of things. Talk a little bit about your upperclassmen, your seniors, and how they've been able to handle what's going on and what a benefit it is to have that group.
Yeah. Well, our only senior is Daphne Hunsinger, who was an All-American for us last year and is a setter for us. And that's great to have your one senior leader be your quarterback basically on the court. So she just brings enormous depth to the position and lots of experience. And it's wonderful when your leaders also have the respect of the entire team. I mean, her play has garnered respect. So I think with that type of a start, we're in good shape. And then on top of that, our defensive leader is Kayla Coughlin in the back row. And she's a junior. And she's maybe even more passionate than I am. She reminds me a lot of me when I was her age. And she's just really settling into that role. And Elena, our other junior starter from last year, is continuing to get better. So we look forward to maybe this being her breakout year.
Well, I'm really excited to see you guys in action. I mean, with those expectations, you don't have to say anything else than that. So, Coach, we appreciate you as a coach and what you do for Geneva College and for the student athletes, your passion that you bring, your willingness to be up and down the hallway and supporting one another in their other sports. So, I know you think very highly of your coaching colleagues on the campus as well, and so it's a great relationship.
I love being part of the athletic department. I love being under your leadership. And I hope there's a lot of wins left in both of our pockets.
There you go. Coach Smith, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. We're here with Kayla Coughlin, a junior member of the women's volleyball team, a libero. So for those that don't know much about volleyball, what is the libero position?
So basically the libero position is the only girl that stays in the back row. She's the one that wears a different colored jersey, which typically that is normally your best serve receiver and defensive player, and you typically run in and out for the middles.
Interesting. So I could say I know there's a libero tracker that we have on staff, but I never actually knew what the libero was. So I may have asked that question for my own interest, but I'm sure a lot of people watching at home would be interested as well. So, so your dad is a volunteer coach in the program. Speak to that relationship. He came on, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now.
Yep.
How's that working? How are you liking that?
I love it.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, he's been a coach way before I was even, born or anything. And he's pretty much the reason I got into volleyball. And he was my first coach. So I've just grown with the game, with him, the love. It's really built our relationship up. And it's just, I think it's very cool because it goes like full circle. And I'm going to end my career with him like on the sidelines with me. And, he's one of the best coaches out there, so.
No, that's good. So Coach Smith really appreciates him being on staff, but obviously they have different personalities,
Yeah.
all right? So we can admit that. So, playing for Coach Smith, what does that mean to you? How much do you enjoy that?
Oh, I love it. I really do. I mean, she is just one of the most competitive, caring, loving coaches I've ever played for. I've never met a coach who's wanted to win just as much, if not more, than the players out on the court. And she really does want the best for all of her players. She wants to see us succeed out on the court and out in the real world, and she really does help set us up for that in the end.
Well, before this interview, Coach Smith was on here, and she said she expects the women's volleyball team to go undefeated this season. So losing in the conference championship last year, talk about how that has fueled you guys moving forward for this season.
Yes, I mean, I think that's a big motivation for us because we were there, we felt it, we could almost reach that, and I think it's really got us out. We got right to the first practice, guns blazing, we're out there, we're working super hard, we want to get back there, and we want to win it all this time and get a banner up there, and it's really our big motivation.
So the COVID world has changed some things. Obviously, your season was shifted to the spring, as we all know, but how have practices been going? How has school been going in this new normal that we're in?
It's gone really well, a lot better than what I've expected. There's obviously a lot different with it, with all the masks and playing in the masks and going to school and all that, a lot of restrictions. But in the end, we've all really done a very good job of overcoming it and just coming together as a community at Geneva, as students together, and especially as players on each team. It's brought us a lot closer to get overcome these restrictions that we have, and we're not taking anything for granted anymore because nothing is set in stone anymore.
Yeah, anything, as we found out, can be taken away very quickly. But so you are a business sports management major at Geneva. What is your end goal? What's your dream job?
Well, I've been in sports my whole life, so I'd really like to get in possibly with any kind of professional team and just work in that. I just want to give back to the sports community. There's always been coaching in the back of my mind. I've always wanted to possibly become a college coach somewhere, but end game is pretty much just anything involving sports because I just want to give back what I've gotten out of sports.
Yeah, no, good. So as a leader on the women's volleyball team, what is some advice that you're giving to the freshmen that are coming into this different setup of a season, the volleyball program? What are some conversations you've had with them?
Pretty much just to remain calm. It's a big shift when you're coming from high school to college, and nerves are so high.
Yeah.
So the first couple practices, you're just trying to calm them down, be like, listen, just play your game. We're all here to support you. We want to see you succeed. So we're out here to have fun right now. We want to get better, but also we're not playing for a season at the moment. We're practicing to get better for a possible season. So we don't want them to focus too hard on playing time, because right now it's all about building our team dynamic up and building our skills up, so when we get to that season, we can see them out there on the court with us and succeeding and for years to come.
So I always ask student athletes this question. So you've been here through 2 full years. What is your favorite memory of being a part of the women's volleyball team?
Oh, there's so many good ones. Coach actually just asked us this with a recruit, and I had to say probably the morning of the PAC championship game. We got up early. We all got breakfast together. The nerves,
At
the
Cracker
excitement.
Barrel or no?
No, actually in Alex's this
Oh, wow.
time. Normally in Cracker Barrel. But we got up. We ate together. We all walked over to watch film together, and just the drive over, it's just your nerves, the excitement's building up, and you're just all excited, getting together as a team. And that's probably one of the ones that I'll take away with me, because we were all just, you can't explain the feeling. Like, you're just so excited.
Yeah. So I have 2 more questions. This is probably the most important question I'm going to ask, though. Does the team actually like Cracker Barrel, or is it just Coach Smith who likes Cracker Barrel? I mean, be honest.
Once or twice a season, it's pretty exciting to go, but not before a match.
Well, hopefully Coach Smith watches back on this. She
Coach,
thinks
I'm sorry.
you love Cracker Barrel. So.
We like the store.
Yeah. There you go. So, last question. Just what is one piece of advice that you would give someone going through the recruiting process, thinking about playing college volleyball?
The best advice I would give them is really just to sit down and follow your heart. You gotta know what you want in a school, and you gotta go visit a ton of schools to see what you want, what you like, and don't listen to anyone else. Like, yeah, they can give you some advice, but ultimately it's your decision. You're the one that has to go there for the next 4 years. And the best advice, and it's what I did, is I made a checklist. It sounds so old-fashioned, but it works. And then in the end, the one who had, the most pros is ultimately where I ended up, and been here for the past 2 years, and I'm going to finish out my college experience here, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So
well, that's great. Thank you for that. And thanks for spending some time with us today. Enjoy the rest of this semester, and then we're looking forward to seeing you all back out on the court next semester.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Well, welcome back to Tornado Tuesdays. It was great to hear from Coach Smith and Kayla about the women's volleyball upcoming season and the program. Coach Smith does a wonderful job supporting her student athletes and talking about her program.
She's just really passionate about everything. And
well, she said she's going undefeated. So.
So, hey, when you make that bold statement, I mean, it is the opposite of coach speak. I mean, obviously she has high expectations, but really, if her players are up to those types of expectations, then it's really great for them to try to reach to those goals. Whether it's attainable or not, we don't know, but it's certainly you can't have bigger plans than that.
Yeah. No, and watching them practice, I mean, they have passion, they have energy, and I mean, if any team up and down the hallway that could achieve it this year, from what we've seen in the past, it would be them.
Yeah, it is, and I know it's been disappointing, and she, like we talked in an interview, it's not exactly the schedule she was hoping for. She was hoping for a little bit, of a bigger conference schedule to be able to play, but she's going to turn that negative into a positive and take what she gets and make the best of it, and that's what the message she's been giving her team.
Well, let's look back in Geneva history. This day in history, October 20th, 2011, Geneva defeated Bethany 3-1 behind 16 kills from Chrislyn McCracken, 50 assists by Deanna Brody, and 39 from Brianna Mixter. The victory was Geneva's 7th straight win and led them to 2 weeks later defeating Bethany in the conference championship to capture our first conference championship since gaining full entry into the PAC in 2011.
That was an exciting time, no doubt. It was the first year we were in as a full member. We had some great success in previous years, but it didn't count because we were in a provisional phase and we weren't able to compete in the postseason. So being able to get that first championship in that first fall, although it's disappointing for me, we won the softball tournament later that spring, but Coach Smith still has that carrot that she won the first one. So that's been motivating for me for 9 years now.
Well, yeah, it's just the way the seasons fell, Van. It's okay. If it would have been this year, it could have been different.
That's right. That's right.
But speaking of volleyball, coming up next week on the show will be our men's volleyball coach and former co-head coach of the women's program, Kurt Conser. So we're excited to hear about the men's volleyball upcoming season. As we know, they had great success last year. Well,
we talk about the disappointment of seasons ending early and abruptly. I mean, nobody had more of a disappointment than the men's volleyball team. They were 8-0 in the conference, and they compete in the AMCC separate from the other schools, other programs in our department, but they were 8-0 at the time that the season got shut down. So they were well on their way to potentially a conference tournament championship. And so Kurt has done an amazing job getting the men's volleyball program off the ground, and we'll look forward to talking with him. But yeah, another coach, and he and Wendy obviously spent many years on the bench together as co-coaches for the women's program, and it's been great to have Coach Concert back and doing great things with the men's team.
Totally different personalities,
just a
could
touch,
we say.
just a little bit different, but that's why it works so well.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. Well, thanks for watching this week. We'll be back next week for Tornado Tuesdays.
Spotlighting the very best at Geneva College Golden Tornado Athletics. This is Tornado Tuesday.